Okay. So, very good morning, everyone. So, thank you for all joining in. I hope you all had a great stay. So, first of all, I would like to thank our chief guest, Dr. A.S. Kumar sir, and Sri U. Rajababu sir, for kindly accepting our invitation. So, it is really very honored to have you here. And I would, of course, would like to thank our director for helping me and supporting me from the beginning. So, with these few words, I request our director to please escort the guest of honors to come up on the stage. So, sir, I just want to give a kind of welcome note for the conference. So, the Cnlds stands for Complexity and Nonlinear Dynamics. Is the first in the series of conference that we are planning to organize in the future. So, this conference, just on a short note, was organized in memory of my PhD boss, whose name is Professor Pocherian. Is a very dynamic researcher in the area of nonlinear optics. He has contributed a lot, and unfortunately, he passed away in rather younger age at 55. So he is a fellow of several academies and is a very well renowned scientist. So this is his 60th birthday, and I want to organize some event in his memory. And this is the first conference in the series of CNLDS conference we will have in the future. So the CNLDS, the central theme is to cover all areas of nonlinear dynamics and complexity. Complexity is forefront of many areas of research. Complexity is everywhere. The world is nonlinear. So, I mean, we thought that let organize a conference covering all areas of science and engineering. So this is what this was the theme of the conference. And we attracted over 150 abstracts. It's not really an abstract, it's a paper across the country. So you see the proceedings, you'll see the geographical location of the participants. It's all across. In fact, we do a special effort to do this, just to ensure the diversity. And we have a plenary lectures, 3 plenary lectures, and over 40 invited speakers for the next occasion, and over 150 participants are going to benefit out of this conference. So this is actually what about the conference. This is going to be a 3 days conference, as you were aware. So with this very short note, I invite you all to please join for lamp lighting. So, so we compiled this collection of article in the form of a proceedings. So it's very nice proceedings. You will see that. I also want this opportunity to release proceedings. So thank you very much, sir. I'd like to request now now Mr. Protein Director to kindly share the words about ITH and about the conference.
Good morning, friends. First of all, immense gratefulness to both Sri Kiran Kumar Garu and Sri Rajababu Garu having taken time from their very, very busy schedules to be a part of this conference. And particularly, Kiran Kumar Garu has taken pains to come all the way from Bangalore to here. And we are really grateful to both of you, sir, for this. And thanks to all the participants who have come from various places to be here and be a part of this conference. Today morning is a very nice, yesterday being a shower. We have a little cooler environment today. And I hope this continues for the rest of the conference and you will not feel the real heat of Hyderabad. But still, Hyderabad, I started loving Hyderabad after being here for about 4 years now. Having spent 12 years in Kharagpur and 15 years at Madras, both being very sultry kind of environment. Hyderabad gives you a dry environment, which has its own beauty. And generally, summer is not too long in Hyderabad. So I hope you will have good, fruitful time, both in terms of the weather and in terms of the scientific discussions, and also in terms of visiting the labs. I would love to see all of you visit a few labs and see the kind of good research that is happening at IIT Hyderabad and see how we can collaborate. Today morning, I was talking to Dr. Sri Kiran Kumar Garu also and mentioning the same, that the only way we can all grow together is through collaborations. There's no second thoughts about it. We need to collaborate and we need to see how we can come together and collaborate. The STEM there, reminds me of two things. One, I'm a microscopist. We use the word STEM in that. Scanning transmission electron microscope is what we say. Well, 30 years of my life, I was doing electron microscopy. And we also have at IIT Hyderabad a lot of facilities. And many of you are possibly aware that Principal Scientific Advisor recently has opened up a kind of a portal called iSTEM. Possibly most of you must have heard of this iSTEM. iSTEM portal is where any institute can put their equipment on the portal for the whole country to use them. Okay, of course, with small charges, definitely, but one they are all open to the whole public. Any institution, it could be a research organization, it could be an industry, or it could be an academic institution from anywhere in the country. Utilize these facilities which are on iSTEM. IT Hyderabad has put 380 equipment on the iSTEM, probably the largest number by any institution in the country. So please go to iSTEM and see all the facilities that we have and will possibly use them. This is something that we want to ensure that whatever we have belongs to all of us. So this is the first point that I want to tell to all of you. So please use these facilities. Complexity, I'm not an expert on the complexity as a modeling tool, but of course, complexity exists everywhere. I'm a material scientist and we deal with a lot of complex materials, complex alloys. We even have a field called high entropy alloys, on which I have been working for the last 15 years, which are all complex alloys. So it's important that we need to understand them better so that we can give better solutions to the ones that you through this complexity and non-linearity. And experts are all sitting here, and I'm sure some good results come out of these discussions, and possibly a fruitful collaborations come out of it. Let's start working together. We have also started in a small way. How do we get connected within Hyderabad? Possibly you are aware in the last year's what is called budget speech. Madam Sitaraman has mentioned about what is called, working together towards grand challenges of the country. At IIT Hyderabad, we have almost 40 different institutions. DRDO labs are there, a few ISRO labs are there, and a number of CSIR labs, and of course, a number of academic institutions. So we started bringing all of them together, and right now, a big project called the Glue Grant Project. You all know about glue, gluing people together. So this is a big initiative by Ministry of Education, where institutions within a city, thanks to the proximity that they have, can they come together and work on grand challenges jointly? Okay, and TIFAC has identified about 12 such grand challenges, and we have taken up these 12 grand challenges, identified the institutions which can work on individually each of these grand challenges, and ranging from about 5 institutions to 15 institutions, there are such people who have come together. In each institution, we have identified a coordinator, and these coordinators together have put up a proposal of blue grant proposal for each of the grand challenge, about 50 crores each, and about 600 crores of proposal is right now with the ministry, which we are very optimistic that it will soon get sanctioned. And Minister himself, Dharmendra Pradhan ji, is very keen on it. He has spent almost 1.5 hours a few months back, starting from 8 o'clock in the night to 9:30, just to know about such initiative. And he is very excited about such initiative. And this is a small example of how people can come together and work on grand challenges in an interdisciplinary manner, and in a with a joint effort. And this is something that I'm sure this can be translated across the country. Country definitely needs, is the right time that while our Modi ji, Pradhan Mantri, speaks about Atmanirbharta, it is important that unless we come together, that kind of self-reliant country is not possible. Not only self-reliancy, we should also think of being a global player and a global leader, at least in certain technologies. Definitely, there are technologies, two people sitting there represent those two technologies where India has demonstrated. Then, when you deny something, we are here to actually excel. uh, and space program is one such thing. Very recently, GSLV has been successfully launched, and we are looking forward to Chandrayaan 2 and many more things to come to forward. And similarly, in the missile technology, again, we have demonstrated that India can do wonders. The third such technology is atomic energy. We don't have an atomic energy man in this particular podium, but that is a third area where India has actually demonstrated that we can really excel when we come together. And I think the same success story has to be kind of replicated in a number of ways, and we should try to see how we can work together, demonstrate that India is a great country where great things can happen. For example, DRDO has recently come forward, and IIT Hyderabad has a center of excellence called DRDO Industry Academia Center of Excellence. Again, the whole goal is to pick up problems of DRDO and come up with solutions which are at a TRL level 3 or 4, and then take the help of industry and really make them commercialized and bring them to TR level 8 or 9. That's the kind of direction now we are all thinking of, how we can jointly work together. We have something called TRP here, Technology Research Park, where DIA has taken space to work together with IIT Hyderabad, and it has about 7 verticals. Space is one such vertical, and of course, defense technologies is another vertical. Both are being represented today in this particular auditorium, and we are keen on working together to develop things which are useful for the country. Just one example I can say is large scale additive manufacturing is happening at IIT Hyderabad. For your information, if you have some time, please go and visit that 1 meter by 1 meter by 3 meter size scramjet engine. Okay, the largest piece ever possibly manufactured by 3D printing in the country is being done at IIT Hyderabad. Professor Surya Kumar is the faculty in charge of this particular initiative, and that's a DRDO initiative again. And we have not only started making that component, but also they have actually designed it, got the machine fabricated in the country, and that machine is commissioned now. And we are eagerly looking forward to the components coming out and the machine being handed over to DRDL at the end of the project. So that is the level of activity that is happening on the campus. You would be really happy to be able to see some of these. Again, another activity, two other activities where a lot of good work that is happening is autonomous navigation. If you have some time, please go and see our Tihan Technology Innovation Hub on autonomous navigation, where there is a lot of work both on the road-based autonomous navigation and underwater and also aerial autonomous navigation. A lot of course, ISRO is a standard example of autonomous navigation in the space to whatever extent that you can think of, up to Mangalyaan that they have demonstrated. So a lot of such activities happening. 5G, 6G, again, a lot of future communications area things are happening. Healthcare is another area which is very complex again. There are a lot of good activities happening. We are tying up with hospitals and coming up with programs. We have three programs with three medical hospitals here. One where our Nityanandan is actively involved. There is something called LV Prasad Eye Hospital here, Eye Institute. And with them, we have an MTech program called MTech in Ophthalmic Engineering, which is a 2-year MTech program where the doctors of LV Prasad teach the anatomy of the eye, and we teach optics, lasers, and technology for eye care. So that we are developing technologies in the area of eye care. Similarly, we have another master's program called Medical Device Innovation, which is jointly with AIG, Asian Institute of Gastroenterology. Again, students spend 4 months in the hospital with a problem of a patient or a doctor, work on it for the rest of the period so that at the end of 2 years, they have a medical device in their hand, a prototype in hand. And similarly, as the third one is with Basavatarakam, a cancer hospital here. Again, our students spend 1 full year in that program, which is called MSc in Medical Physics. Again, physics department has initiated this. And there, at the end of that 1 year, they come out as radiation experts. So we started looking at how to address grand challenges and complex problems jointly with uh, people who have knowledge. We know a little bit of technology. How do we join hands with medical healthcare personnel and see how we can come up with solutions to complex problems? So, like this, I think this throws up a lot of opportunities for all of us to work together. And I'm sure that at the end of this conference, we will have a few strong collaborative proposals coming out and for us to work together to solve our grand challenges and our problems so that we provide solutions rather than seeking somebody else to provide solutions for us. With that, thank you very much. And once again, I welcome you all and wish all the best for this particular conference.
So thank you very much for an encouraging speech. So you always used to say that the three agencies in India are doing very well. So we have ISRO, we have the RDO, and fortunately that we could not get one from the AA. I did try to ICAR and IRCAP, did not get your person from there. So complexity is still there everywhere, sir. So you have a rocket man, you have a missile man. So complexity is everywhere. I just want to say that we are thinking of setting up a center, is a virtual center, interdisciplinary center systems and linear dynamics. That is still going on. We probably wanted to take it down to a center of excellence with all your support. So so with that, I would like to invite our guest of honor, Sri Rajababu. Rajababu is widely known for his significant contribution in the design, development, and successful demonstration of ballistic missile defense and capabilities. He started his career with Indian Air Force in 1988 and subsequently joined DRDO in 1995. During his 35 years of professional aerospace career, he worked on aircraft, helicopter, and development of many missile systems. As program director, AD, RCI, provided necessary thrust to the design, development, and successful demonstration of ballistic missile defense system. Under his leadership, Mission Shakti, India's first anti-satellite mission test, ASAT, has been successfully demonstrated. As director RCI, he worked on development of many critical technologies on mission mode projects, development of advanced missile avionics for non-tactical ATGMs, strategic cruise missiles and weapon systems for ground forces. His technological and techno-managerial achievements in Indian defense programs elevated him to the position as Director General Missile and Strategy System. Thank you. Congratulations, sir. Over to you. Looking forward to it.
Professor Kiran Kumar, Professor Murthy,
the faculty of IIT Hyderabad, the participants and dear students. It's a great honor and privilege to be here among you all. And one of the most interesting and then complex discussions on the seminar. The complexity is in the name of the seminar itself, complexity and then nonlinear dynamics in STEM. As a practitioner, the systems almost every day trying to find solutions. I think this conference is very apt that there will be a detailed discussions, and probably end of the conference we'll have many ideas that can be taken forward. There is no end to complexity, especially in science and technology. And of course, with a type of optimization and then resources allocation that is being looked by even management science, I think that way this can be covered to entire universe. What else will be the better forum than IIT Hyderabad, which doesn't leave any area or discipline for research? As Professor Murthy said, that Paul, science or technology with L.V. Prasad, no one would have thought about it. Similarly, other day he was telling that even to the fine arts also, how we can bring in science and technology. That way, I think this institute is one of the unique and dwelling upon research in every possible area, which have now never been thought of. But today, as a practitioner, I thought a few of the examples where we struggled and continue to struggle. Most of the examples I give will be in the area of aerodynamics and then probably propulsion and some of the mechanical engineering related subjects. I worked on a ballistic missile defense program where we deal with the high terminal velocities and relative velocity of engagement almost to the tune of 8 to 11 kilometers per second. When we embarked on anti-satellite mission, the relative velocity was 11.5 kilometers per second. And we have to engage the incoming target with a hit-to-kill technology. The same is applicable when we talk about engagement of long-range ICBM. Of course, we are very fortunate that we have a talent within India. And that way, I think today's chief guest also played a major role in our program. That initial discussions on what type of sensor to be, what type of model is to be, we had very, very valuable inputs coming from him, which could be successfully implemented. Now, today, if you're talking about engagement of ICBMs, where the velocities are very, very high, and if you need to have a hit-to-kill type of technology, where we are looking to the order of centimeters accuracy. And with this type of velocities, even microsecond reaction time also will not be sufficient. But today, as you all know, the systems what we have, the best of the systems what we have. We may have some processors of probably gigahertz type of processing capability. But when you use this into a computational system, into a computational cycle, then you get limited to the milliseconds type of thing. So here the challenge is you have a systems at best. I'm talking about one system. And when you talk about multitude of systems working together to achieve the desired goal, how do you achieve? Typically in a missile system, we have an inertial navigation system which finds the drift and gives the information to the onboard computer. Onboard computer has to compute the drift that has taken and how to correct the drift and then bring the missile back onto the path. So the processing time of this data, and then it also works out to bring it back what type of force is required to be applied. Then the command is given to the probably to the type of actuation system you have, whether electromechanical actuation or otherwise reaction control system. Then again the physical systems, you're coming to physical system. The command, electrical command getting transformed to either chemical or mechanical energy, and then finally application of force. And again the feedback of the applied force has to come back to the computation cycle. So why I bring out this point is we have almost 5 to 6 systems which have to work together to achieve the goal. Now all of systems have their own limitation, limitation on the cycle times. The best of the responsive mechanical systems could be order of, probably, hundreds of milliseconds. Probably, your guidance and computation cycle could be probably tens of milliseconds. But here you are trying to have such a low cycle time that you want to fine align, but you have a systems not able to support. So this where the modeling comes into picture, where we started using what is called predictive modeling. Like we have no time to even apply the force and give a feedback. So based on the environment, based on the plant parameters, you try to predict and then give the commands a priori. And based on the trend, again, you continue to compute. So this is one of the problem when one of the complex problem where we have so many unknowns. Not every phenomena is known because the type of environment, the type of factors, the type of velocities, the type of drift that can be taken place, the type of aerodynamic asymmetries that can be taking place. So I thought this is just one problem where we can use the effective modeling to find a solution. Similarly, we had of course we encounter this on many of our applications. Our autopilot designs. So fine, we have a good knowledge base about design of autopilot systems and then control actuation guidance algorithms. But always today, with the requirement of high precision, we find that existing algorithms are also probably not good enough to meet the requirements because the feedback, whatever feedback we get from the controls, yes, it is the best possible, but probably not good enough to give the required accuracy so that we can fine tune algorithms. Like this, we have a number of problems even today we have. We talk about in our missile dynamics. The hypersonics is one of the new area the world is working on, and then we are also working on this area. Now, with aerodynamics, yes, we have good maturity, and then we are able to model. Hypersonics is still one area. Still, there are some parameters which are still not fully known. And if you are talking about hypersonic glide vehicle, where the vehicle re-enters the atmosphere, the re-entry dynamics, how is going to be the characteristics of the vehicle because of the heating and because of the angle of approach and because of the aerodynamic characteristics, how are we going to control this vehicle during the re-entry phase? And subsequently, if the vehicle has to be glided for almost hundreds of kilometers, so all our assumptions and calculations, do they hold good? There is always the delta. If you see any equation, at the end, there's a lot of uncertainty you put as constant or delta something. The delta is the area where we all need to dwell upon, so that if we are able to model these uncertainties, then our efficiency will be much better, and we will be able to get fine accuracies. Like this, a number of issues are there today. We have one of the system which is imported system. MRSAM missile we imported from Israel. If we talk about control, we traditionally use tail control. We try to use canard control, but again, interaction with the canards and with the wings and all, we found that there is one area where we are not fully clear about it. But when we saw this latest missile, which is inducted, it has a dual control. It uses both canards as well as tail to get maximum deflection, and then so that it will be able to generate maximum lateral acceleration. But we don't have this knowledge yet. Like this, there are many areas in each and every discipline. Combustion. We talk about scramjet combustion. Normal combustion, more or less, we are there and we have good idea. Though we still talk about combustion instability and then some of the parameters that will continue to affect the vibration on the vehicles because of combustion, because of propulsion, because of the environment. So these are the phenomena we continue to face, and we don't have a clear answer yet. And the interaction of 2-3 systems. So when you are able to model all these, the systems are going to be more accurate, and we have more clarity in even taking up development of systems with very many more advanced roles. So I think today this forum is one of the best forum with the participants from all disciplines who will be able to throw light into the respective areas. And from DRDO, we are looking forward to IIT to work together and get some solutions. We are part of this DIA, and we have a very active DRDO cell here. And in the days to come, we'll be looking forward to IIT Hyderabad to find solutions to some of these problems. And I'm sure that in days to come, we'll have many better algorithms and many systems which will address the today's complexity and make the modeling more robust and predictive. With these few examples, I wish the conference be a great success with exchange of information. And I thank the organizers for giving this opportunity to me. Thank you.
So was truly I always said a lot of information you have given and to the right audience in a way. So because the best minds in nonlinear dynamics when with all university, I would say that are all here. I'm sure that they will take it seriously and they will take it forward. So thank you very much. So the next is the much awaited moment. So we are would like to invite now Dr. A.S. Kumar, former ISRO chairman to deliver the chief guest address. Before that, I will give a short. I try to make it short, but it's really incredibly long. I'm hit by emotion. Right. Sri A.S. Kiran Kumar is a Vikram Sarabhai professor at ISRO Bangalore and member of the Space Commission Government of India. He's also member Governing Council, Indian IAC Bangalore. During 2015-18, he has served as Secretary Department of Space and Chairman of Indian Space Research Organization. So he has steered the implementation of the application-oriented Indian space program, which has facilitated rapid development of the country in many important spheres of Earth observation, communication, navigation, meteorology, and space science. So he has led the design and development of more than 50 electro-optical imaging sensors flown on various spaceborne platforms, starting from Bhaskara in 1979. Further, his role in the success of Chandrayaan-1 mission and Mars Orbiter mission has been significant. Sri Kiran Kumar has been the chair of the Committee on Earth Observation Satellite (CEOS) in 2012. He has made valuable contribution to coordination group of meteorological satellites. He is also an expert team on satellite systems, World Meteorological Organization, and Indo-US Joint Workshop Group on Civil Space Cooperation. Mr. Kiran Kumar is the President, Aeronautical Society of India, and fellow of almost all engineering and telecommunication societies, both the nationwide as well as the state societies. This is really long. And he has co-authored 85 publications in various national and international. He's also a very good researcher as well. In recognition of his contribution, he has been conferred Padma Shri by the President of India in 2015. Other notable honors conferred on him include Rajyaswa Award by on 2015, Sri M. Vishwesvaraya Senior Scientist State Award in the year 2013 by Government of Karnataka, Lifetime Achievement Award from Karnataka Science and Technology Academy, IIC Distinguished Alumnus Award for 2015, Gujarat Ratna Life for Innovation Award by Gujarat Innovation Society, and Vishwesvaraya Centenary Award in 2016, Sankoba Award instituted by SRKF Surat in 2018, and ISRO Lifetime Achievement Award 2018. He has been conferred with the prestigious 2018 International One Common Wings Award instituted by the Aerospace Historical Society, together with the Graduate Aerospace Laboratory at the California Institute of Technology in 2018. And the Chevalier de l'Ordre National de la Honor, the highest civilian honor by the government of France in 2019. So with this, sir, we're looking forward to our speech, sir. Thank you.
The Director IIT Hyderabad, Raja Babu, and all the participants of this conference. It's indeed a great pleasure and honor to be here present on this occasion and talk to you about what India has done in one of the domains and also look at where things stand and how things are likely to shape up for the future. Probably we are all quite familiar with today's technological developments causing disruption. Disruptive technology is the buzzword. But you imagine way back in 1957, one such disruptive technology came into existence. And that was human being was for the first time able to put objects orbiting Earth. And when the Russians did this, at that time, Americans and Russians were competing with each other to demonstrate who is more powerful and who is more capable. But then all disruptive technologies can bring in huge benefits. And we had a great visionary scientist in our country who was looking at how this capability of going beyond Earth, orbiting Earth, can be used in a developing country like India. In 1957, we were just a fledgling democracy, 10 years into independence, struggling to provide food, developmental resources to the country. And at that time, you can imagine a great visionary scientist like Dr. Sarabhai could convince the people who matter and then get into this technological development and provide effective solutions. I'll just give you a couple of examples of how this has played out. Probably when he wanted to conduct his first sounding rocket experiment, where the sounding rockets he could bring with the help of his friends across America, Russia, France, and Germany, conducting the experiments in Tumba Equatorial Rocket Launching Site required convincing the fishermen in that place that you vacate this place for us today, and one day the country will benefit if you do that. So he had to make use of the services of the priest of a church there to convince the fishermen. Just as though to demonstrate what has been promised, 99 onwards, India was able to provide by observing color of the ocean in 8 different wavelengths, and through that identify the chlorophyll, and through that the food chain of the fish, and locate where the fisherman can catch his fish in the ocean. This service was initially made accessible to the our million strong fisherman community through a center in Hyderabad called Indian National Center for Ocean Information Systems. And subsequently, when we developed our own navigation satellite series, we have taken this to a next level where today a small battery operated gadget which can be fitted into the boat of the fisherman. This gadget, by virtue of its contact with Navic satellites, locates itself, and a mobile in the hands of the fisherman. You can easily visualize no mobile will have terrestrial connectivity once it enters few kilometers into the ocean. But then this mobile is used only as a tool, and it communicates with this gadget on the board. And an app on the mobile enables the fisherman as a video compass. It directs him to where to go for fishing. Not only that, in his mother tongue, it alerts him if weather vagaries in the coming days are going to be unbearable or sea state roughness is going to be unbearable. So here you can see the example of the latest technology of launch vehicles, satellite applications being made available to a person who does not know reading or writing, but still makes use of it for a livelihood of catching the fish in the ocean. In fact, economic analysis has shown that this act alone saves to the country between 10 to 15,000 crores a year, because millions of fishermen now do not have to spend their time searching for the fish. The amount of petrol and diesel they save is going to be significantly advantageous. And today, with our own navigation system coming into operation, various state and central governments are providing such gadgets to the fishermen, not only for enabling them to reach out to the ocean, catch the fish, but also even before they return to the land, they can take a picture of the fish they have caught, and then on ground it will be analyzed, and ahead of time market will be getting ready for the specific type of fish they have. So huge number of analytics etc is getting into place, and the government is enabling more and more such gadgets to be made available. This was one example where space technology made a difference. Another very important development that happened was, you can imagine in the 50s and 60s, etc., or even 70s, and up to 80s, the way we could communicate with each other in the country was limited by use of only microwave towers every kilometer, whether it's for communication or even for broadcasting, you needed terrestrial towers. With the access to space technology, it was very clear that you could cover one third of the globe, and particularly for India, the entire terrain you can cover from these geostationary satellites. And using that, you can reach out to the community. What was done way back in 75 for 1 year, India conducted the world's largest socio-technological experiment, wherein in 2,400 remote villages of our country, using what technology we are very familiar today. All of you see what's happening on television with a small set-top box and a small antenna on rooftop. But this was realized in 75 using a 10-meter chicken mesh antenna and almost half a rack worth or half a rack size of equipment, providing direct to community television sets. And with this, when the country demonstrated the powers that mattered, realized that the way to reach the entire population of the country is through broadcasting service from the satellite. And then similarly, communication. Today, we are all familiar with a small gadget in our hand, linking us to the entire world. You can see what's happening across using this. Why I'm just bringing out all these points is that what India did at that time was, though it had come out of the shadows of years of subjugation when it was looking at how it can provide solution to its countrymen. It was looking at one of the disruptive technologies which became available and what technology was accessible to it, it used, and what was not accessible, it generated or realized indigenously. And that's what was being mentioned by Professor Jagdish, sorry, Professor Murthy. And when he talked about Atmanirbharta, ISRO demonstrated that if a set of people make it a point, they can put their heart and soul, make use of technology that is accessible to you, and what is not accessible you make your own. But all the time look at how this technology can be used for solving the problems you are facing in the country today in terms of space technology, whether you talk of communication, navigation, earth observation, or even providing weather forecasting related, solving the means alerting ahead of time super cyclone occurrence and actually evacuating people and saving their lives. All this has become a routine. And of course, while India developed this capability over a period of 4 to 5 decades, world has also moved on very quickly. Human beings who conquered land, ocean, air, space is today working relentlessly both in private and public domain and government domains to look at how space, which is the fourth frontier, can be conquered. And you have already seen that space tourism, space adventure, space exploitation is all becoming buzzwords. And you have already seen some of the companies getting people to buy one-way ticket to Mars. And then things are moving on at such a pace. So what India decided to do was only the government agency working on space program is not going to help the country's economic growth very quickly because today space is a $1 trillion economy. And if India, which is one of the few countries in the world which has an end-to-end capability of building launch vehicles, cryogenic engines, satellites, applications, and put all of them to use, if it has to earn a significant portion of this $1 trillion economy, it's only when more and more participation happens in the country, both from the academic sector and private sector. That's what the government has been trying to do over the last couple of years. It has made huge changes, and whatever tremendous infrastructure that has been established for space system building, space technology building, is being made available to the community in the country, enterprise. And we have already seen how some of the companies, even Hyderabad-based companies, have actually their first stage into orbit. Another company is setting up their own launch vehicle station in Sriharikota. And then the world over, it's easy to see only the governments are in no position to deal with the rapid changes that take place in technology. By the time the governments
decision-making machinery starts becoming active, a lot of things would have happened. And today the world is moving at such a rapid pace. The pace where artificial intelligence, machine learning, and use of new capabilities of what he was talking about, 3D printed systems, all of them are moving at such a pace. People are looking at providing in space station printing capability for dealing with future requirements, and also even for pharmaceutical requirements. A lot of private entities are looking at how we can go to space and do. But if you look at in general, one of the basic scenario that is emerging is while the world is changing, what India is facing. If you look at in the earlier decades or even earlier century, when the first industrialization took place, we were at the receiving end of things. We were a colonized country. Physical raw materials went out of this country. Infrastructure which had been established elsewhere made use of this physical raw material, whether it is cotton, iron ore, or many other ores, converted them into finished products, and it was brought back, and we were again exploited. So we were at the receiving end of exploitation both ways. But today you can see we are the fifth largest economy in the world, and we are 75 years into independence, and we have huge capability which has been established. But in spite of all this, if you look at in a particular manner, is the situation any different? I would say no. What I would rather say is today, the physical raw materials which went out of this country has been replaced by the intellectual capability of individuals, those who have decided to stay back in the country and those who have gone out of the country. For both their intellectual capabilities, the raw material, and infrastructure which has been established by huge systems globally, are using this raw material and converting it into products. And today, it's not only India, entire globe, probably excepting China, where China, by virtue of some of the policies they adopted, their citizens are not so much influenced by these mechanisms. But whether the citizens of China are benefited is another question, because the country ruled by a system which is of a very peculiar nature. But my point of bringing to your notice is something very different. So, unlike in the first round of colonization, where people had to physically come to this place, take out things, today they have put in our hands gadgets. Those gadgets are being used to manipulate us, change our thinking, change our behavior. Through that, converted each one of us into a targeted consumer, and through that process, converting human beings across the globe into, you can say, consumers, which will benefit, which will be actually benefiting the production systems globally. The matter has reached such stages where, unless we start realizing the implications and work towards finding solutions, these situations are going to be progressively more difficult. I would just like to also touch upon two aspects where India has made a huge difference to the global thought processes in this particular area. Right from the early days, India, historically also, if you see, the way India looks at life is very different from what rest of the world does. For Indians, it is life, human life also requires all other forms of life to survive, sustain. Nature is to be respected for what it provides, and it's only then your exploitation or over exploitation will not result in unsustainability. What happened in COVID is an example. While we are all clear, every technological development that happens, each new capability that is available, there are some who take advantage of this, build their own empires or domination over others. Whereas there are people who will take advantage of these capabilities and provide solutions to fellow citizens or fellow human beings. And what India did in COVID time is an excellent example. While many were trying to make use of this opportunity to actually commercially exploit, India not only made use of its technological and scientific capability to find a solution to the problem, but also made the solution available to the global community, not for economic benefits. And this is primarily because it is realized that life and sustaining life as much more than economic activity. Then similarly, if you look at in terms of fintech, this kind of solution is providing for the fintech is actually in many ways breaking the back of companies of whether you call credit card or other such systems. So in both these cases, there is a means light at the end of the tunnel. And if you look at the new kind of colonization, where the intellectual capability of the people like you and me being used in some ways by those who have set up infrastructure, and many times without our own knowledge, we are becoming willing victims of this process. And it is here that as scientists, technologists, and academicians, we need to appreciate the manner in which things are happening and how we are being actually manipulated many times without our knowledge. Just for the sake of information, some of you are quite familiar. The gadget that we carry today is in a position to identify the hormonal changes that take place in human body. And even those things are being used for converting each individual into another set of consumer. And probably many people are not even aware of that. And they have become users of this gadget to such an extent. What is in store for future is sometimes can be very scary. But then it's always people who look at every technological capability and every scientific finding for the benefit of humanity and for sustainable life on planet Earth. If that has to happen, then who are the ones who are going to make a change for that? In my view, it's only those who recognize that human life cannot sustain without what the nature provides and what other life forms are essential for our own survival. Maybe in this context, I would just like to bring to your notice a couple of things and take you towards exploration and how this exploration is what has made a huge difference to the way the people live in this country. See, today when we are looking at exploring outer space, you have already seen a lot of work going on. Where can we find places where there are situations very similar to planet Earth, and whether life form can be taken there and we can make it survive. Building artificial habitats or even building robots which can survive in those environments, build enough intelligence into those robots so that they can do the job we want. But in this process of building more and more capability, what we realize is that so much intelligence we have to build into these robots that these robots also are becoming actually problem solvers by themselves. And while initially you would have built design features into that robot where it would have reported to you all the problems, because no matter how good a designer you are, there are cases where you encounter situation beyond your design handling. And in those cases, initially you would have put a capability in that to report the problems to you so that in your future generation of robots, you can take care of that problem. But then you also realize that these robots were being given so much intelligence, they started tackling problems themselves. And maybe at some point of time, even they can decide that I'll not report to my uh, boss or this super system, and I'll deal with all my problems myself. So in that manner, the artificial intelligence, whether you talk of the way chatbot or anything that is developing, it's all basically because human beings have tried to explore not only what they see outside, but there are a huge number of people who have started exploring themselves internally. And it is this process which many times in the present ecological development scenario, we are ignoring. Just to give you a basic perspective in this sense, if we treat human being as a highly evolved gadget, how is he operating? I would say there is a control system. There are a set of sensors, 5 sensors on the basis of which he receives all inputs. And the control system records all the inputs he receives in a manner he stores in some particular area within the body. It knows how to record that. We all have experienced. If you want to recall, you can quickly recall what happened way back in your lifetime. So that means this control system records all the information that our 5 sensory organs are giving. But then any robot can do its function only when the control system can pass the instruction to the actuator. If no instruction is given to the actuator, no functioning can happen. So while our external functions of the human body, we learn from our childhood through what we see, we observe, and our asli intelligence system makes sense out of that and develops our capability of speaking, walking, talking, all these kinds of things. There are a huge number of systems operating within our body for which we don't learn through our external learning process how it functions. So obviously, the control system which is running this platform has this information available to you and available to it, and that is what it is using. That means we can easily visualize that this control system has access to a memory which is independent of what you gather during your lifetime. If you do little bit of effort, you will easily realize that that memory has come to you through your birth process. So that means the control system has two storage areas from which can pick up instructions and conduct each platform and run it. And then there was also another aspect which was being talked about, that is how are we actually conducting ourselves and learning things, etc. So if we visualize that this control system has instructions which is coming to it from its birth process, another what it is recording by virtue of its own existence, all that. But beyond that also, there could be another source of information for this control system. So today, when you see two mobiles communicating with each other, what is really happening? Outside the physical entity of that body, it is able to send signals, and another body, which is another mobile, which may be sitting anywhere in the world, can actually receive that information and do transactions. So now, if the question that is posed is the control system which is running the human system or any life system in principle, can it have access to information outside the physical limits of its body? All the five sensory organs, whatever it is taking, it is recording in itself. So we are not counting that. What we learn from that is all that part of that. Outside this, is there a method? Actually, mobiles are showing such things are possible. So you have seen in life form, if you take a firefly, firefly emits electromagnetic radiation in a specific wavelength. And many of you are also quite familiar how medical technology has grown to such an extent that signals emanating from the body is being used for detecting various mechanisms, finding solutions to the health problems. Some AR, VR, all this is going on. But my idea of bringing to your notice this is, if this means that the control system which you have has access to three types of memories, one which is within you, which has come to you from your genetic process, one which you are developing by virtue of your own experience, and the third one, if you develop a capability of communicating with outside you, and this is where yoga is supposed to be playing a role. If yoga is talked of as union between you and the universe, any individual and the universe. So if you take a mathematical system, universe as one entity, and you as a boundary, that accepting you, everything is rest of the universe. If you had no way of communicating with this universe other than the sensory organs which you have, by which you are getting inputs, you would have been limited in many ways. But then people have been looking at how these things are working. So when you talk of exploration, human being is all the time being looking at what is around him, observing it, and by observing it, building new tools, new capabilities. If today we are flying, we are capable of going beyond Earth and reaching Mars, etc. It's all because he has seen how the various things fly, and he has developed the technology, chemical, mechanical, you name it, all that. And then one other similar thing also, if you look at, initially he started tackling all the physical labor related problems of the human being. He built huge machinery. Today, you have seen the way this campus itself has come up with so many multi-story buildings coming up in quick succession. If this were to be built in the yesteryears, it would have taken a long time because of the physical labor involved. But then today, the machines are there to do it rapidly. Similarly, in terms of the intellectual capability, we have seen already that we are hitting the limits of classical optical or even mechanics, etc., where in terms of feature size, we have already gone down to few nanometers. Below that, when we want, you need quantum technology to explain things. And in terms of frequencies, we have already hit the upper limits. And now we are going back from all digital technology to again a hybrid of analog plus hybrid, analog plus digital, where analog circuits are now not the original simple circuits, but neural network based circuits, which can do in a rapid time the solution. So now people are bringing back this. So point what I'm trying to mention is it is the human nature to observe things outside. And through that, what nature has shown, build capabilities in a very specific manner. And in certain cases and in certain areas, we have moved beyond what we see in nature. But no concept, according to me, is the one which has not existed in nature. And again, if you look back at what we were looking at as an internal exploration, if each one of us is provided with such a tremendous capability of a control system which is better than the best AI system that you can think of today, but then you have a capability to observe things linked with outside world. But for all that, you have to explore yourself internally and build those capabilities. And if you build that, probably there is nothing is going to be a limit. And it is what has been shown. And people of this land not only have explored universe outside, they have also explored internally, and through that process understand this entire mechanism. Today, when you are discussing the problems of complexity, nonlinear dynamics, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, in all these areas, actually, you see how the life performs and how various different types of lives are performing. If we can look at that and understand some of the concepts from that, we can probably bring to reality many of them. And today, whether it's mobile or network, this Internet of Things or networking, various things, human brains are being networked with control systems, etc. So in this process, when you look at, there are huge opportunities to solve problems which others have not looked at. If we continue to tackle problems which others have already done, we are always behind them. It's only when you can start thinking of what problems can I tackle which others have not addressed, then only we can become leaders and we can go ahead of others. And it is here again the basic thought processes of the human mind in trying to understand how this gadget is performing in this life or in this universe. And through that, can I come up with something which others have not addressed, is where probably the whole idea of bringing together a set of people, posing them problems, discussing with each other, and then understanding. Maybe I'll just touch upon one last thing before I close, because it's all something which happens to us day in and day out. Today, if I were to just explain to you what is a drama or what is a cinema and what is a video game, in all these three things, I'll find one thing common. There is one director, there is a story, director picks a story, and then creates scenario which he projects to the audience through the gadgets he has, whether it is actors and stage. In cinema, it is much more dynamic. In a video game, if you see what is happening, you are sitting in front of a screen, you are seeing what is being projected to you. You have either a joystick or a mouse. Based on the trigger you do, what is shown to you in terms of audio, video keeps changing. But if you look at where all the information that is being projected to you on the screen is residing, you will soon realize that it is in a stored and it's a stored information in the processor or a system server. Depending on the trigger, it is picking up that data, converting it into a video and audio and showing it to you. Now, suppose I simply ask this question to you. What we see in dream, is it something very similar? You have within you a mechanism which can show you an audio and video, and within you also there is a director with a system which is controlling you, which has access to three sources of story. One, what has come to it from your own life experience. One, what it has got from the birth process, recorded information. And another, if it has developed the capability to communicate with the universe from that. So that means it can, you can be shown in your dream something. So if you simply visualize this as a mechanism, when people talk about, for example, Ramanujam's story, if you see, maybe it becomes a possibility. So it's only the way you look at things and how things are happening. If you start exploring yourself, how your life experience is there, and then bring it into reality, probably the opportunity available for people of this land is far more than what anybody else can see. And if you see in the stories also in the various things, the emphasis and also the actually impact the thought processes of this land has had. So let me conclude my talk by just saying that what is needed is exploration both external and internal. It's only when you do your internal exploration, you can make the best use of the gadget that has been provided to you in the life. And if you have not understood the features and capabilities of what you are endowed with, how can you become a best or an efficient user of that gadget? With this thought in your mind, let me compliment IIT Hyderabad for doing what they are doing. And from within the few minutes of interaction with the director, I've come to know so many things which they are trying to make it happen, including iSTEM, which you talked about. In fact, I can tell you, iSTEM realization is such a pain because for the same reason, the way we have grown, we are not ready to share what we know. Now we have a hesitation. The moment I make others know what I have, maybe there is a feeling that I become irrelevant, I become inadequate. So, because of that, many entities, many laboratories, though they have got the best of the equipment, where they themselves are using it for a very short period, they are not ready to share it with others. They are not ready to tell that this is available for others to use. It is a government's persistent effort to bring in iSTEM and make. I'm happy that some progress is happening, but lot more designs to be happened. And all this will change when you make up your mind that you have the best available gadget in the world in your control. And if you make it a point, you can make a difference to this world, both as an Indian and as a human being. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. It was an exciting speech. You almost covered the whole spectrum of things, starting from space to fisherman, chatbot, AI, and not to forget our Indian cinemas as well. So it was a very nice, enriching speech from you, sir. Thank you very much. So, the floor is open for interaction. We are running late, but if any students wanted to interact, have some questions, we can take a couple of questions. If not, any questions? Yeah, want to ask something? Right, it's still. So, we can have it. Okay, so finally we are almost in the end of the inauguration session. So we are going to have a photo session just after a few words of vote of thanks. So I would like to thank Vishnu, Vikash, and Maheshwaran Ramkaran, who were in the organizing committee. They were very helpful. Thank our head of the department, Prempal, and of course our director. So when I approached him, go ahead. So there is no stopover at all. He said like, oh, go ahead. You have all my support. And there are few very eminent persons. Very thankful of. Unfortunately, they could not come. They were all about to come, but they could not come for health and other reason. I'd like to thank Professor M. Lakshmanan, the senior scientist, and my professor's boss actually could not come at the last minute because of health. And I also like to remember Prasanta Panikhari, the director ICER Kolkata. He already has given a talk during our National Science Day. So he was very encouraging when I discussed with him, sir, wanted to do an event in memory of my boss. He said, go ahead. He said, Kolkata, I can support you. Monetary support also. So that also I should not forget. And particularly few of my students, the jewels, they actually helped me. Otherwise, things would have not happened. Amla and Mamta, Tash, Kushbu, there are a few of them there. So otherwise things would have not happened. So with this, and we are closing the inauguration session. Part of this will be a panel session. A part of the session will be happening here. Another one session will be in the adjacent room, LH2. So I request the chair. So we are running a little bit late. So I request the chair to keep up the time. So make sure that things are happening on time. Right. Thank you. So we are now, please invite all of you to come onto the stage. We'll take a group. Thank you. Sir, we have to video the momentum. Sir. So this is a momentum from IIT part.
Make it ready.
Conference.
One more. Conference.
Name. So this is from
Really?
sorry. Let's come for the picture.
Yes, friends. Some of you can come onto the dais.
So,
Can be in this.
senior scientists here, students can, all people can be behind.
Please, friend, come on. Come on to the dais. You need to have a tea before the next session starts, so you need to come free. Hey, Vishnu, you have to be here. Val, can you come to the front? Yes, Nidhi, you come. Stand there. Why not? Yes, Vishnu.
You can cover, right? You can cover.
The volunteers, please. Oh, why are they hiding themselves? Yeah. Can kneel down a little. Come to the center. Start. Yes, now. Regine, are you able to capture everyone? Yes. Yeah, quick, please. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So, I bring it in strong. Yeah. Then I need to copy it to some. You make a folding. Now I need to change the name because this will be a nickname for everybody. It's a PDF or it is PDF. This is very name. Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, it can be computers can have same name, no? Okay. Yeah, this is a. So just give a name. So yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, yes. Yeah. You need to check if they yes. Wait, that's a Windows one. And probably that right. Just for the heat function controller. I'll be here. Thank you. So you want to copy that one? Yeah. So you don't need to bring my stuff. Copy it from no. So it should be four. PDF file it is still not down. This space. No, it will be down somewhere. Okay, down. RT3. It's still down. Yeah, this one. See, I made a folder in the desktop. Cnlds specification. Yeah. Just fine. And it's yeah, that's the one. Yeah, this is fine. Absolutely. So I can eject this. Okay. Yeah. One easy. You ready? Yes. Yes. It's fine. Yeah. No. Like done. This one. Yeah.
Yeah. Alex. Yes. Yes. Gangpati? Yeah, we'll go.
It's not actually Raghav. Yep.
Yes, Brahma.
Okay. It is there in the folder. Same as folder. Okay. Banners is okay.
We had opened.
Yeah, it's already open here. 1, 2, 3. Okay. If you want to select first, just press this button. Okay.
This.
This button now.
Okay.
It will come here. Choose duplicate. So if you press again, it will go to duplicate. Okay. So let's once it goes, let's click on double. Full screen, I think will be better.
Go on. So,
Really take it.
so any problem with that?
Yeah. Control L is full screen. It's like yes. Yeah. Yes, it is also We can change this next. No, when the professor comes to us. Of yeah, everything's simple. Okay, yeah. So that's before.
So we can start.
Which one is first? So which one? Yeah, this is that's a good thing. Yeah, because now, no,
Cherry the first is very expecting meaning. Once again, so it's really good. So first of all, I have a meeting. So it's really funny. And I have a very easy task. I don't actually have to introduce the training. As the most, but you don't, but it's fine if you're training in all your dialects, so you can off already like it. Some minor, without any further, but anyway, to ease the icing of like.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to this conference. Hoping well, normally in every conference, I feel like now on this long pandemic when it opened. The conference is apparently while going to a student, really has smooth. Four places. So I'm not really gave a talk on in the online CNSD that happened. In one of the organization previously. Since we have been teaching online for the last few years, we know how much is everything. So I'm counting on the fact that we do not have written. Well, this block, as you can see, is honestly the largest diameter system that we have. And a diameter system whose dynamics right. And there are certain indications that this might be going to a change in, and that is what the topic of this talk is. And I'll try to show that it is indeed going to happen. Now, let's think like that. When we perceive changes that are taking place, you cannot keep on observing it and see the changes because this is 4.6 billion years old. And our lifetime is a big. Therefore, we can see no change that. So, if the dream was to get some light, in 2016, a paper was published that reported that there is some change that is happening in sunlight space. It's middle age. What if the stars repeated economic access space? And they have magnetic field, and due to the magnetic field, there is constant ejection of material from the bodies, and these charged particles that are ejected from the still take away moment. They spin down. They've anticipated that they will slowly slow down and ultimately they will rotate very slow. Ages will rotate very slow. What is reported is that no, they don't. If they really of the stars like something happens, because the rate of spinning down slower. As a result, the older stars rotate luminosity faster. And it was also reported only in 2020 that the sun is less active than similar stars. So something is going on. There was actually an indicator that the sun is going through a change. That is, you know that the sun has a 11-year cycle. And the cycle is embodied by the sunspot at the end of the season. Sometimes the sunspots emerge, sometimes they're less, and that is its. And if you can, the sunspot numbers is the longest known in series. Well, we have this in the time. And here is the data time. If you look at it, you will notice that 11-year cycle when you think notice. You will also notice these minimum. That is, sometimes there's practically no sunspot. And there are also other relative minima, but this is a grand minima called, it's called a grand minima called 1642, 70. This time is again a big message. Using markers, have pieced together these sunspots over a longer time period. This is a 1,000 year, 10,000 year time period. And you there also you see these dips, which means these events that are happening, these are not really animals things. They happen in the sea. And they have been happening in the sun. And they have been happening erratically. There's no pattern. So we wanted to understand is actually causing. Is it a dynamical phenomenon or is it related to some kind of? That's what. In order to understand that, let us look at the interior structure of the sun. The core, the center, that is where the energy is produced, reactions, and heat is generated, and the heat has to come out of the surface. There are two mechanisms by which it can come up on the surface, either radiative or convection. It so happens that in the core part, convection cannot happen. So around 70% of the Earth's radius is completely radiative. That is, the heat transfer happens only through radiation. Extremely 30% has convection. And convection means physical transport of plasma, and that is what can create magnetic. The entire magnetic activity is compared to also 30% of the radius. And since the sun is not a solid body, there's another effect. That is, the equator moves faster than the higher latitudes. So this part moves faster, this part relatively slow, this part relatively slow. As a result of that, some additional effects come in. effectively what happens is that if there are magnetic lines of force, it's a stretched along the unit. Something like this. If you have a toroidal magnetic field, then that is stretched along the equator, relatively less stretched at the higher latitudes. So it will be bent like that. And as it goes on, it will stop bent, and finally there will be a toroidal magnetic field. So the toroidal magnetic field is created by the existence of a toroidal magnetic field. And yeah, the existence of the toroidal magnetic field creates this toroidal magnetic field, and finally it will have a structure of this. So the magnetic field, magnetic activity is majorly happening in the transition between the radiative zone and the convective zone, and that effect actually travels through the convective zone. Something like this. I'll show you. You notice that as it was stretched and the toroidal magnetic field was created, some of the magnetic lines will use the surface, went out and then down. So these are the stars. Frequencies in one place, it goes out, another place come in. These are the lines of magnetic lines. Suppose you can see the line. And the size of these sunspots is more or less the size of the planet. You can see the superimposed image. So from one, it goes out, the magnetic field goes out into the other, it goes in, and in the still, and in the crust too, convection becomes relatively more inefficient, due to which the temperature at this point is lower, 1000 degrees lower than the rest of the body. So that's why it looks sports in the air. Magnetic lines force piercing the sunstones. And that is profound overall magnetic. It so happens that people have known that magnetic lines of force that is moving out and coming in, going out here, coming in here, that has a very specific in the north and the south. In the north hemisphere, it is tilted like that. In the southern hemisphere, it is like this. It's still due to the cold. But this tilt in the horizontal related as well as the vertical. And if you notice that this direction is for which the whole Indian was created. It's the whole Indian. When the total magnetic field will create this pure sense, and that will have a sense which is opposite the sense of the origin. That is, the laser is opposing the cause. So it can have a component of this direction, which is opposing this magnetic field. So do the following. So due to the appearance of the sunspots, toroidal magnetic field weakens and something it flips. And then this becomes plus, this becomes minus. Opposite thing happens again, it flips. So the reason for this 11-year cycle is understood. Right? It was first proposed by Babcock and leaders, which is called the India. So we wanted to model this to understand what is actually going on. Well, the way normally people model it is in terms of PDEs, partial differential equations. But it's the values of the class of mechanism going on in different parts of the art, the business body. We wanted to study the average that So we consider the patterns. And that allows us to construct models. Similarly, we do trust in this model that A is a vector potential related to the coordinate field. So these are the toroidal influence. And if there is no toroidal field, the toroidal field will decay with the time scale of now. And if there is no toroidal magnitude, the toroidal field will also decay. But if there is a toroidal magnetic field, then it will influence the toroidal magnetic field. How? We have seen that happens due to the differential energy. The fact that they input a rotation fast. And that difference rotation across the solar orbit is the length is L. That is, it is proportional to omega. Effect is similarly, the effect of the toroidal field you find on the toroidal field is denoted by this constant, this number, which is not a number. That's a very it's a function. It's a rather complicated looking function, but I can just give this on this. It was there. If the total magnetic field is beyond certain value, then it will not be able to create sunspots. And if it's not able to create sunspot, there will be no effect. Therefore, below certain below beam right? Then the Coriolis force will be unable to create the fields. As a result, the effect will be again weak. So it is a function that captures this. It was initially proposed by so we use that. So effectively, this function goes in here, and then we solve this differential equation. Notice that the whole system is linear except this function. It embodies the nonlinear. Yes. Now, if we analyze this, it's extremely easy to analyze this for me. It's not 2.00, no magnetic activity. Another a standard amount of magnetic activity, AB, and B is a function of this voltage. It is some indicator of the strength of the magnet. But this model does not capture because the oscillation is there. So we need to do something in order to bring the oscillation, eliminate it. So we realize that we have missed one important point. That it takes time for the change in the polarity field to affect the toroidal field. It takes time to or any change in the toroidal field to affect the polarity field. The first solutions to so all these terms then will have a delay. So we incorporated that delay. When we incorporate that delay, the solution came in. Now we will get this now, notice that this is the 0, fixed point, which is indicated of no. And there is another equilibrium point here. You're taking the point section and this is a normal magnetic activity. It is almost this straight line, not exactly. And here we see a stagnant band. And we can unstable this point here. So we are somewhat here. Normally, when a star is young, its operating point is somewhere here, and as it slowly spins down, it moves this way, and finally, at some point, it will come there. So we were that probably after our sun is somewhere here, it's close to the vibration point. But still, the problem was that if it is not here, if you are here, you will remain there. If they are here, they will remain there. Both stable points. If both are stable there, wherever you want, you remain there. But there's one word of that. You observe that sometimes it goes to the system state, again down to the normal state. So first, we realize that the flux transport or the flux tubes that happens in the sun, these are not really negative tubes. these are island convective motion as in the sense of. Therefore, there should be some oscillation. That's how that influence. Now, if you bring that in, when you got that in terms of a additional 0.5 minutes to introduce that. And when we did that, basically the strain of that huge and strain of all of these numbers have been tuned in order to the linear cycle as well as the observed situation. But we did we found that uh, mimic the kind of oscillation that we see in sun. It has these oscillations. Actually, these are not irregular oscillations. These are linear spark from these are normal, oscillations of linear. But you do see these low tones here. If you expand a particular one, you see this movement does. The phenomenon that is happening is if you want to look at the phenomenon itself, then it is well, let me just repeat the projection diagram. So let's look at a part of the diagram close to the we are expecting that to be somewhere here. So if you expand that here is the 0 kilogram point. This is the static, and this is the normal protein bottoms. And therefore, this is the basis of attraction. This is the basis of attraction is limited to trace. Now, if there is that additive often white noise in it, that is the operating point. Sometimes from inside the basin of attraction to outside the basin of attraction. And when that happens, then it will oscillate sometimes inside, sometimes outside, but it can have the possibility going, the threshold, with the dynamic shift now, it is now a threshold, which lose uncertainty. So sometimes it can go, not realize that. Now that is what actually causes the movement or theoretical structure indicates that. This is the mechanism of creation of this movement. But it is there. Notice down that you can not only knock it outside the basin of attraction, but can also knock it on one side to the extremes. Okay. So it was here. Then after some selections, it might for someone we not inside the basin, and then it will be there. So therefore the effect will be something like this. Sometimes it will was actually this again. And when that happens, it will again regain the normal magnitude. So our study then indicates that what happened during that 1640 to 1711 that it was not now this basically because sun is now very close to the vibration. And when it's close to the vibration point, it's point noise doesn't matter. It will be normal. When it's close to the vibration point, the noise will matter a lot because that can rotate over the basin of attraction can automatically increase. And that's what we're seeing now. Well, if you're seeing that now, indicates that sun is indeed close to the vibration. So the mechanism of creation of this solar catastrophe and this is the amplitude of toroidal field below the threshold that goes below the threshold. And then there will be no magnetic buoyancy, the flux will come on, and therefore there will be no transpose pairs, and therefore the toroidal source itself switches off, and therefore sun goes into the magnetic. It again can be. We are used to looking at dynamics in the phase space. So if you look at the whole situation in the phase space, then it looks like this. Here I have plotted those are the things happen in the environment. So the V5 is field and rate of change of V5 is here. And you find that normally the blue thing goes on, that is the liberal cycle of the system. Sometimes it influences, sometimes it congratulates. And now we understand why it is. I don't expect that. It says that these are correct. We are more or less certain that we are on the right. But then, let's indicate picture. Observe the actual Earth data, and then only we say real. Yes, maybe I will not do that. In from the uh, histogram of the transport numbers, and the histogram showed a bimodal distribution. The histogram showed a bimodal distribution. This is the normal one, and this is the unit ranges. So this bimodal distribution apparently we our water once by again. So we need to do some, mathematical tweaking to get this for right shape. But nevertheless, the model is right. So, what we conclude is that the sun is now close to a bifurcation. It is now going to a but nothing to worry about because this is related to only event field. It is definitely even the emission. The sun is not going to die soon. No. Just one. When there is enormous magnetic activity, then it does affect us in some sense. Right? Because when there is magnetic activity, for example, something is going to happen in some result. Now we are in the process of increasing. When that hits, sometimes our communications will shut down, sometimes our transmission line that are in the not zone to sub zone that is huge voltages. So all these detrimental effects will not give sometimes humanity to this time. But that's to be anticipated. When the two equipment are close to each other, the magnetic noise can trigger the grand meaning. And the amount of magnetic noise that we figured out by actually doing numerical experiments to match with the data. And we can also recover from the gangrene. And as the sun's motion speed decreases further, the grand minimum you can move up. And the eventually result in a magnetical inequalities. That is what is happening in many other stars like Venus. And in this phase, the magnetic braking becomes ineffective and resulting in a lower speed. And so these are structurally explained. The point is that this slowing down for any stars is called a stellar midlife crisis. And sun is actually in our midlife. So sun has spent about 2.6 billion years. It has moved in 6 years. Nothing to worry. Nothing around your time scale. So this paper that we published, it was published in monthly notices of Royal National Society leaders. Actually, this we never found out that this was actually the exploration. This exploration 50-11 observation happens. And so it was it was given in a press release by the Royal Astronomical Society for some publicity. And here are the questions.
Thank you so much, everyone, for not making me anxious for tonight. Have questions? Can I start with one thing? I was a bit curious. I remember in that Green Press had that article, I mean, that review on 1 hour F noise, and he had this thing that if you looked at the sunspot data and data Fourier transform, you would get one over it as well. Is there anything from your Fourier transform you expected?
But what was not the transport data and doing phonetics. That is to be honest.
But from your data, what kind of expect?
What we did was we used a also white mask. And input that with my hand. And there we can reproduce the behavior that is actually observed, and that actually observed behavior is one variations. Right? So observed behavior has that.
Which means that your data, if you did a full would also have one.
I didn't.
Okay. Because that would be very interesting, because everyone is after one over it, I say.
In your verification diagram, what is honeymoon environment?
Remember our story represents how strong is the magnetic activity. So if the differential rotation is fast, it will be strong. If the magnetic field is strong, the dynamo number will be strong. So therefore the omega is in the appears there, the phi appears there. So it is proportional to omega proportional to phi. In that proportion, it has a few things there. Here. It was given some here. Omega is the differential rotation. For here is that also term that I showed in that equation. Tau is the rate at which the magnetic quenches if there is no for the magnetic quench if there is no radar the quenches will not be to and here is the rate of the magnetism. It is down there. And here is your negative change.
What might be the conditions for maintaining store? It's fine.
For given.
So this is 0 to 30.
Yeah. It gives that this line again. Magnetic field dies down.
Very quite rapid. Because it is in nice.
But it was then it processes this. It spins down. It was certain rotational speed. It just processes this. There was no magnetic. It was suddenly equalized. The magnetic activity, that magnetic field was suddenly.
If you noise, how come it is considered that you will go to 0 equilibrium?
Presently, it is not here. It is not here. So there are two equilibrium points, 1, 0, 0. The other but in between there is a 7. So if there is noise, it can trigger it to go from here to here or here to there. That's what is happening. That is a transition period, which when we are close to the vibration point, but not yet in the vibration. When we cross it, then the magnetic activity will come.
I had one more question on this one, since it's here. The basis of attraction actually of the 0 point is very small. Very small, right?
Very
Yeah. So which is why maybe if you
Very good.
So that's the one question. Suppose that sun is the in this second point, so 0.
Yeah.
If it is away from the shadow, with that minimum needs to be transport.
It's not well. If we are here, for example, then it is very close to the 7, right? Speak noise will be able to out to the next slide. When a star is young, you do not see those minimum. Because if due to the noise it does do that, it immediately comes back because the noise is there. Right? But when this filter increases, then see the effect of this noise knocking it to the 0 point. It stays there for some time, for some years. But the last time it stayed for something like 30 years.
actually to know the bipolar distribution, how you are concluding here. I mean, means that point of the bimodal distribution.
How many times you have the large peaks and so many times you have very small peaks. That gives the histogram, right? Now, it is possible to have historical country like this. It's not a short a bimodal distribution. The bimodal distribution is indicative of the character of the Cameron Grand family. So whatever we do, whatever model we construct, we need to satisfy it. Right? The way science works is that there is something that we cannot really observe. So only when we have nonsense first, what's going on inside we don't know. So we produce models. You do this. But we know it's wrong. So how do we ascertain the model is correct? We try using the model and carry it with the answer also. Now, to get it, the distribution or histogram is one thing that you carry. This special for instance, we do have the would have the PD models in full. So PD models are introducing these things. PD models are extremely reliable and extremely computation intensive, but extremely useful because how are the 20 models that can be easily checked? Because with the 20 models, you can predict the actual structure of the magnetic field, and even if they eclipses, you can see how it would shape in change the people. That's why no, they never give it for me, please. Because we are similar for a very long time, but actually similar for years. Because it's so computational intensive, they cannot do it for 1,000 years. So I can understand that like the certain point, like the noise brings the oscillation in the region. How can we? I would like to know how we are able to model something in equivalence using lossy memory. But we don't know anything. What are the limitations? Like if Gaussian white noise is from a common sense, we are representing something that's not. That's what we great. What is that? What is actually happening is turbulent convection. Turbulent convection, and the convection is creating the magnetic field, and therefore magnetic field also has turbulent effect in it. Says it was they written in some gauge, it was simply as a matter of action. It's not manifesting gauge variant.